Well, there is definitely growing interest in the race to replace John Tory. The current list of former and current councillors mulling a potential mayoral run is heating up. Anna Bilow, Brad Bradford, Josh Matlow, they are maybes. Rob Davis, he's in. He's a sort of candidate from 20 years ago. The possibilities are former police chief Mark Saunders could join the race. MPP Mitzi Hunter, perhaps she's in. Nominations for candidates open on April 3rd. A by-election is set to take place on June the 26th. So to talk more about this, Toronto Sun editor-in-chief Adrian Batra joins us live in studio. Adrian, on that couch yesterday, I spoke to Rob Davis, Anna Bilow, and of course I spoke with, and I gapped really suddenly, Brad Bradford. How did I forget that name? Brad Bradford and Anna Bilow they're clearly in, but they're not saying they're in just yet, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're going to be part of this campaign. But what do you make of this pre-official campaign period where people have advisory committees or pick up people like in Anna Bilow's case, Nick Kuvalis? You know, people are really getting serious about this, but why would they not say I'm in just yet? Well,
the official nomination period is April 3rd. So Brad Bradford, for example, benefits from being a city councillor. So he can make, speeches at council, he can make announcements. So he's going to get coverage. He's going to have a profile, because that's such a significant part of all of this. Because of the short window, you need profile. You need some name recognition in all of this. So they're taking their time sort of putting their name out there. And they also want to see who's out there, what campaigns, or who's joining which campaign, and seeing how that all shakes out. Because it's a very small pool on a certain side of the aisle who you can draw from in terms of political staff, and you have to raise a significant amount of money. I would almost say nearly $1.5 million, Nick, for this election. So you have to make sure that you're not all drawing from the same well. That's important. But you know, this is a big job, and a lot of people who may have considered running perhaps in 2018, when in 22, Anna Bilow, for example, you know, she's got certainly some desire to continue to keep her name out there, and that's all very critical. But, you know, the $16 billion operation, you have to find someone who can work with both levels of government. You have to find someone who can get 13 votes on council at any given moment, deal with increased crime in the city, increased grime in the city, the TTC losing money at the fare box, all of these weighty issues. So whoever that unicorn candidate is out there, we're going to see what they run on.
And that's the thing, because you've got to be on call 24/7, basically, right? You're kind of on this around the clock. And we've already heard people like Denzelman and Wong, Joe Cressy saying, you know what? No, I'm out. My family's too important. That's what I want to focus on right now. What I'm interested about, I mean, yes, Gil Penelos is in. He came in second last time. Kind of a bit of an unknown, but had a pretty good run last time out. He's more of a progressive candidate, I would say. But I think one of the big questions right now is, will Mike Layton jump in? Because he could kind of carry the progressive banner in the city as well here. What do you expect on that side of things? Because a lot of people on the progressive side of this city said, you know what, John Tory wasn't progressive enough, but there was no one kind of carrying that banner because of his strength. How important is a progressive candidate going to be in this race?
And you know what's so funny about that is those on the other side of the aisle would say John Tory was far too progressive and capitulated far too much, way too much on that side. So I've heard Mike Layton is still, quote, kicking the tires, but he would be the name on certainly on the progressive side of the aisle. He is known. He served, I think, 3 terms as a city councillor. And of course, you know, he's been around the political world for a long time. Everybody remembers his dad, certainly. So it's a name. You need that. That's a big part of it. But what policies are coming forward, Nick? Again, rising crime, shrinking fare boxes at the TTC, potholes, big issues that the city needs to deal with, you know, homelessness, housing. Who's that going to be?
Right, and if you do win, you come into not only becoming the mayor of Toronto, but the strong mayor powers will be connected to your office. So there is that element to it as well, that is, you're going into a slightly different job. I often sort of said, why would you want to be mayor and just be one other vote on council? That situation has changed, which makes the dynamic even more interesting this time out.
Well, it sure does, because right before this all unfolded, they did pass Mayor Tory's budget. And so you're almost constricted by some of those policies that are already going to be implemented. So what will happen in the next budget cycle? So it's going to be interesting to hear whomever it is, how they're going to work around that, because they're going to have their own different ideas than what, say, the former mayor did, certainly. And everything costs money. Where's the money coming from? Are there going to be new taxes? These are all really important questions. But what's very interesting about this election, there's no incumbent. It's very expensive, you know,
Yes.
$13 million.
Yeah.
But it's really going to give Torontonians an opportunity to focus because there's no distraction. It's just voting for the mayor.
That's what really makes, I think, this so unique, and it's going to be fodder for your front pages.
Yes,
it's going to be fodder for us to be
absolutely.
talking about here on CB24 for breakfast. Great to chat with you this morning, Adrian. I'm sure we'll have you in again before June 26th,
Yes,
if
thank
not
you.
sooner. Okay.